Hi, welcome to World Art Day and PATV special. I'm here with the talented and wonderful artist, Suzanne Posner, and we get to see her work, get to see her in action, and to say that I am excited is just not enough. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Carlene.
So, you not only do you sculpt, but you paint, you create jewelry, and you have a piece that you created yourself, which is beautiful. You know, feel free to drop it off over here at the end of the interview. So I have to ask, how long have you been sculpting and creating art?
Well, I always remember I started sculpting when I was pregnant with my first son, who's now 23. Started sculpting in stone. I've sculpted through my whole life, starting in my mashed potatoes as a kid. So,
you just started with sculpting.
Right.
Okay. So I have a question for you. You know, I mean, I haven't had children yet. One day soon. And so I've seen other pregnant women. So when you're pregnant, sculpting, like, you know, people, you know, eat, maybe garden.
There was a wonderful teacher in Great Neck, so I decided to try. And fell in love with the stone. We use alabaster, which is a soft stone, and it comes in so many beautiful colors. Okay. Here I have some water.
Okay.
I can show you this. It doesn't look like much, but you dip it in water.
Okay.
And you see what it's going to look like polished up. Here's a yellow stone.
I'll grab one.
And there's an orange stone. And here's a black one.
Okay.
And this is one of my favorites, the raspberry. It's very nice to work with. Here's raspberry.
I'll grab one. Got a
And this is what they polish up to look like. Here are two finished pieces that I have.
So these stones are going to end up looking like this?
Yes.
Okay, that's a process. How does that happen? I mean, I can get, brought the hammer out.
The hammer and the chisel,
right? The hammer and the chisel.
All right, so for instance, on this piece, I've done a lot of the basic work with the point chisel, and then I use the rake.
Okay, it does look like a rake. Can I see?
Yeah, yeah.
It does look like a rake, look.
And then the flat chisel to smooth it. Okay. And I'm still in the midst of smoothing it. Some of these horns are not so smooth. And I just very gently hit the chisel with the hammer.
See, I'm afraid that if I did what you did,
the whole thing would fall off.
It would fall completely off.
Well, actually, one of the most exciting things about sculpting is that it can completely fall off. And sometimes my pieces have changed from one thing to another.
Okay.
Because when something falls off, you just have to dig deeper and the sculpture gets more interesting.
But what happens when you dig and the sculpture's just flat and powdered? Like, what do you do?
No, it doesn't happen like that. There's always something to use. One of my favorite sculptures, I started to make mother and child. Lovely, right? Well, it really turned into two adults hugging, but then she looked so sad, and there was an extra piece of stone.
Right.
And so I was trying to think of why she was so sad, and I figured she had lost a baby, so I made a fetus out of the extra piece of stone on her back. So it was kind of an interesting piece which evolved.
Right.
And I have some other story pieces, and those are kind of my favorite pieces when things change. This one was going to be a ram. It had a piece sticking out like this. I knew the head was going to the side.
Right.
It was easy. This is also, the color is going to be a lot more interesting than you see it. When I polish it up, it's going to turn all these different shades of gray.
Wow.
Has pretty coloring in it.
So I'm looking at this piece here, and what's the name of this piece? Or has it not been titled yet?
It's not titled yet, but it's a ram.
It looks like a Carlene ram, I think. I mean, I mean, if you feel it. And so it's still, I know, a work in progress.
Well, you know, they're all for sale, Carlene.
Oh, hey. So the one thing I have to ask is, right now you put water to really bring out the colors. Do you put like a gloss over them?
No, just sanding.
Sanding, and that's what gives it like these shines and these.
Yeah, and a little bit of wax at the end.
Okay, and that's how you keep them. When you started, when you were pregnant, I know that you created like a set, right? An autobiographical set of different songs.
Oh yes. When I started, what was happening in my life is I was a young married person having children.
Right.
So I have some pregnant ladies. I have a mother and 2 children. I have the one with the lost. I have just some female figures, which are always fun to make. And it kind of turned into a series. I also have a lot of animal mothers and babies.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so those are some of your big themes, right?
Yes.
So with moms, families, what else? Animals?
Well, animals. I like sculpting animals. And then some pieces are just shapes, although this one I call cuddles because it looks like they're cuddling up together.
Yeah. I think I can cuddle up next to it. I'm touching them. It feels good.
Yeah.
What do you think, people? The cuddle. I feel the love. I feel the love. So there's a lot of love that goes into your work. That's obvious, right?
Yes.
But go ahead. I'm sorry.
And I teach sculpting and have some very talented students.
Really?
And we work at the Great Neck Adult Ed at Cumberland School in Great Neck. And we work, I just came from there actually.
Okay.
I did change my shirt because the other one was very dusty.
Okay.
But Tuesday and Friday mornings, I have a group of students who work, and they're getting really good. And then some new ones who come in, who it's amazing what they can do in just 10 weeks.
Wow. So 10 weeks, you can go from someone like me who's not even a novice, because I can't even chisel, to creating at least some form of work?
Yes.
And what's that process like? You know, how do you, I know for you said that you can tell what it's going to be and it morphs into other things. But if I'm starting out and it is World Art Day and I want to create art, you know, do I look at it? Do I draw on it and I say this is what it's going to be?
You take, you know, imagine this is 10 times bigger.
Okay.
And you look at it and you think, you know, what can that be? Either you have an idea of what you want and you buy a stone that'll fit it.
Okay.
Or you take a stone. This triangular shape could be a dog sitting up, howling at the moon.
Wow.
Right?
And I can see
if you
doing
imagine
that.
it larger. Maybe this could be a bird or a fish, because it has this curve to it.
Okay.
All right. In fact, in this stone, I made a giant goldfish, which is sitting in my front window of my house. You can see it from inside and outside, and it's big and orange. And it's nice to have it there.
Have you taken any of your work, like the goldfish in your home, and you've looked at it and then you said, you know what, it's not a goldfish anymore, it's now an alligator, and you've recarved some of your work?
I have recarved a couple of pieces. Mostly I like to go on to new pieces though.
Yeah. And why is that?
Well, by the time, it's a lot of work by the time you finish it. And once you polish it up, not only is the sculpture beautiful, but the stone is beautiful.
As we can see here from all your pieces.
Yeah. This one started out, I didn't know what I was going to make with this tiny little piece of stone.
Wow.
And I cut a couple of holes in it. I cut a hole this way and a hole this way and a hole this way. And I started shaping, and all of a sudden it looked like a guy playing the saxophone. So that's what I made.
It's very nice. And when you say cut a hole, you're not using scissors, or more of these tools here?
I mostly use hand tools, but you can also use electric tools, and certainly to start a hole I might use a drill. But I really don't like the noise and the dust, and I much prefer to work with hand tools, and that's what we do at Cumberland.
Right.
And that's what I do at home too.
So before you got to Cumberland, by trade, you're a dentist. You're a doctor, Suzanne Posner.
Yes.
And you know, so you're a dentist, and then over time, it seems to have morphed. How did you make that leap?
Well, this is my second career. I worked as a dentist for more than 20 years, and then I got Parkinson's disease. And with the Parkinson's, sometimes I'm absolutely fine, and sometimes I can't work. So can't schedule a patient at 11 and have an 11 o'clock appointment. It might not be till 1 that I'm good. So I had to give up dentistry. And I had been doing this already, sculpting, and I just made it my full-time career. And, well, I paint also.
Okay.
Here's a painting. I have a show right now at Great Neck Plaza.
I'll hold it for you. You can talk all about it.
Yeah, I like bright colors, obviously. You can see in my alabaster. This is unusual for me to make something in white. And I have a lot of pieces up at Great Neck Plaza, which will be up till the end of May at the Town Hall. And there's an opening May 16th if you want to come and have some food and come for a party, and I'll bring in some sculptures then.
Hello.
Yeah.
Do you do commissioned work, or is it everything that's organic that you're like?
No, I do commissioned work, but I really prefer if people would choose something that I've already made. Because, for instance, I can start to make a certain animal and see that it's really better as another animal. And but in commissioned work, you have to stick to what you're doing.
Right.
And I prefer to let the stone speak if I can.
Okay. Well, what's the most challenging piece you've worked on? I mean, these are all beautiful, and in my mind, they're all challenging. I mean, I'm going to try to work. You said you started with mashed potatoes. I'm going to start a little less. I'm going to start with water, see how that gets me going. So.
I haven't found anything terribly challenging except for some of the stones.
Okay.
There's a light pale blue stone, a blue alabaster, which has a lot of mud in it. And I ended up getting it clean enough to make a large face. And then instead of just making hair, I like to put the thoughts of the person. So he's dreaming of love, and there are lovers in his hair.
Wow.
Yeah, I have another
beautiful.
piece where she's dreaming of a baby, and there's a fetus in her hair. And then the lost piece. And I'm trying to think of others. I don't remember.
That's fine. So when you started, you were pregnant, and obviously you're not pregnant now. How has the transformation over the last 20 years changed your work?
I'm doing a lot more painting.
Okay.
But in the sculptures, I think it's just made it easier. When you begin to sculpt, you don't have a flow.
Right.
You don't have, now sculpting with these hard tools isn't just chopping away.
Okay.
It's actually, I can move them gracefully through the stone.
Okay.
And it makes it a lot easier.
Pretty cool. Now, can you give us like a quick demonstration or an idea of, for people who are watching, who are like, okay, I think I want to do this. I can't make it down to Cumberland, but if I think I want to make this step, what are the first things to consider? Like, do we start small? Do you start with clays? What kind of kits do you get, if you want to try on your own?
Well, you can get alabaster and try on your own. It would be hard, though, because you don't want to hurt yourself with the tools.
Right, and I would do that.
And a bigger, heavier piece is easier to start with than a small piece, because a small piece you have to hold while you're working on it, where a big, heavy piece, you can put it on a sandbag or on a piece of wood or wood wedges underneath it, which keeps it from moving, because, for instance, if I'm going to hit on this right now, the stone actually could move while I'm hitting on it.
Okay. And when you decide to do some of your works, do you do sets? Like, even though it's one piece, maybe you decide to do sets. Do you create in that form?
Actually, I did that with painting. I just did a set of siblings.
Wow.
Yeah. And I have siblings at the beach, and I think I made one set into lovers, not lover siblings. But with the stone, not really.
No.
It's just whatever I see in the piece as it's occurring.
Okay. And so you paint, but let's talk about your jewelry making. So this piece here, is there a name for this piece that I really want?
There is no name for it. It's a copper piece that I made. It's one of a kind.
Okay.
I like bending wire more than any other part of jewelry. With the Parkinson's, it's hard for me to solder.
Okay. Well, how does the jewelry making or your sculpting help with the jewelry making?
It doesn't, they don't, I believe an artist should be able to use any material they have in front of them.
Right.
And I've done that. I've used a lot of paper mache, food, as I said, sand. And I'm most impressed myself with artists who can use whatever material they have available.
Okay. Now, if anyone wants to see more of your work,
Oh, I have a website, yes. SuzannePosner.wordpress.com. And I think there's a place where there are 3 bars, and you hit on that to change the pages.
Okay. And again, you will be at your work is in the town hall.
My paintings are in town hall. My sculptures will be there on the 16th in the evening, 6 to 7:30. I have a home gallery, so if anybody calls, they can come by appointment. I have a gallery. There are at least 50 sculptures in there, and they're all for sale. And I have favorites, but I have so many favorites that if you like it, you got it.
Okay, okay. Well, I'm grateful that you came and you shared your work. I'm going to try again with, maybe not water, but I'll try with the mashed potatoes and see where that takes me. Guys, we have more to come, and thank you so much for watching. We'll be right back with other great and talented artists.